Welcome to the Matt Crawford Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Crawford. Join me as we empower active duty military members with vital financial insights, guiding them towards financial freedom while serving on active duty. Episode number 3, the financial order of operations to building wealth and financial security. What's up, everyone? I'm excited to be here, even more excited that you're here, and I get to talk to you about the military financial order of operations. So a brief intro of what this financial order of operations is. It's basically just a step-by-step suggestion of how you should allocate your funds each month. It offers a good short-term and long-term view of your funds and your path to building wealth, because we all know that it's very important to have a structured approach to personal finance. And this is just one more structure that you can use. It gives you a guideline if you follow it step by step. It's not foolproof. Of course, there's risk involved in everything, but this is super basic order of operation that works for me. I'm not saying it's the best, but it is my preferred method. So the purpose of the order of operation is, to give you some discipline and a structured approach. So you're not guessing of, I have, $500. Where should I put my money? Should I put it here? Should I put it there? Which one comes first? What should I focus on? What should I, put on the back burner? This financial order of operations gives you a solid suggestion of where you should put those funds. So if you think of financial priorities for anyone, doesn't matter if you're in the military or not, you can kind of look at it as a pyramid. At the bottom, you have your foundation, and then at the top, you have your advanced strategies. So, of course, we're going to stop at the bottom of the foundation. So that's going to be level 1. So level 1 is going to be your basic needs. This includes housing, food, utilities, transportation, insurance, any deductibles you might have, those basic needs that you have to have somewhere to sleep and a way to get to work, back and forth to work. That is where you start. You need to make sure you have enough money for those. That is your bare minimum. Every month or every 2 weeks, whenever you get your paycheck, you need to immediately set aside that amount of money for those basic needs. Your cell phone bill, your housing, your food. You got to be able to feed yourself and your kids, and utilities. You got to keep the lights on, keep the heat on, or the AC. And of course, you need that reliable vehicle to get you back and forth to work. So of course, these basic needs, and what are your basic needs versus maybe some wants you might have, that's where creating a budget is going to come in handy. So if you have that budget that we talked about in the previous episode, you know exactly what your basic needs are. You know what your basic expenses are that you're going to spend every month no matter what. So that is level 1 of the pyramid. So next, once you have that amount of money set aside, you're going to go to level 2. And these are a little bit more financial safety nets. So you're going to want to, at the bare minimum, establish a 1-month emergency fund. So what is that emergency fund for? How much should it be? It should be 1 month of those basic needs. Of course, everyone's going to have a different amount of emergency funds that they need. Depends on your situation. People with kids, family to provide for, that safety net is going to need to be a lot larger. If it's just you by yourself, single, not many debts, your safety net is going to be a lot smaller. But the first thing you want to do is have a 1-month emergency fund. Of course, we do have job security in the military, so some of those things are already covered for us, such as housing and food, but still you should have that emergency fund, because as we've seen with Congress, it's not a guarantee that we're always going to get paid. We might have that job security, but if they don't do their job and pass the bills, the budgets, we might not get paid. So it's always a good idea to have it at a minimum 1-month emergency fund in cash, so liquid cash. So once you do that, we're going to look at level 3, and that's going to be basic retirement. So now we're starting to put a little bit of money away for our future. So the level 1, level 2, that was the short term. Right now, I need this money to live. And now level 3, we're looking at long-term basic retirement. And what you're going to want to do is to put the minimum into the TSP to get the matching. So 5%. Put 5% in the TSP, either leave it in one of those life cycle funds that it gets put into, or you can move it into a different fund. That's a little bit more advanced strategies. You can look at a previous episode for that where I got in detail, such as Roth, traditional, the G fund versus the C fund, or the life cycle funds. So again, level 3 is your basic retirement. Now, if you don't get a matching, for whatever reason, you're still in high 3 or whatever that is, still go ahead and throw that 5% in just to have something going, or don't. It's entirely up to you. But if you're on the BRS and you get the matching, put the minimum in, get your full matching. All right, so next up we have level 4. So we're getting up into the pyramid a little bit. This is going to be debt management. So you want to address or attack your high interest debt. What is high interest debt? Well, again, it depends. Depends on your total amount of debt. Maybe you only have, one debt that's X%. Well, then that's your highest one. So you're going to go after that one. But if you have multiple loans, multiple debts, you'll want to look at all those and attack the highest ones first. And there's a couple different strategies on how you can do that. It's either the snowball or the avalanche. So the snowball, think of it whenever you were a kid and you were making snowballs. If you start rolling the ball through the snow, it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. So snowball is you're going to attack the smallest debt first and pay it off quickly, and then go to the next higher one. Pay it off a little bit slower, but you're getting there. And then as you go, you'll start building momentum, and your debt payoff will snowball until you finally get all of it paid off. The other strategy would be avalanche. So if you start from the top, your highest interest debt, say you have student loans at 10%, you have a car loan at 4%, and a credit card at 17%. Well, you're going to want to hit the highest interest first because it saves you the most amount of money in the long run. So whenever you do your budget and you know exactly what percentage you're paying into each debt, you can use that to determine which one's your highest interest rate and pay that one off first. Yes, it's going to take you a little bit longer, but mathematically, you're going to save the most money. But if you want to get some quick wins and you want to see, that balance getting smaller, you might want to go after snowball strategy. So again, it's entirely up to you and what works best for you. Okay, level 5. Now we're getting back into retirement. It's going to be a little bit more advanced retirement. So once your TSP match has been funded, so that 5%, it is suggested you start looking at an IRA, preferably a Roth IRA. But again, every situation is different, so this is just a general suggestion. Once you open that Roth IRA, you should shoot for maxing your contribution. So for 2024, it's $7,000. So that is what you're going to try and put in. And either you can DCA and put something in once a week, once a month, every quarter, every 6 months, or you can do a lump sum, pay all $7,000 at once. It's entirely up to you. But the saying goes, time in the market beats timing the market. So mathematically, it's probably better to put it all in at the very beginning of the year. But if that doesn't work for you, maybe you don't have $7,000 cash laying around. You just put in $500 and however many dollars each month. And then at the end of the year, you max out. And once you max out your IRA, if you have anything left over, then you can start increasing your TSP contribution. So when it comes to the retirement accounts, first you want to get your matching. So put that 5% in to get your matching, and then work your way through the other levels, and then come back and max out your IRA. Once you max out that IRA, if you have some money left over, then increase your TSP. The reason why I like the Roth IRA better is because contributions can be withdrawn at any time. TSP, you can withdraw, but that's going to be a TSP loan, and that's just a different situation because you have to pay it back. You have to pay yourself back technically, but it's a loan. You have to pay yourself back. With the IRA, contributions can be withdrawn at any time. Once you start withdrawing gains, that's a different story. There's going to be penalties, taxes. That's a different story. Do not suggest that. But with the Roth IRA, you have a little bit more flexibility with your funds. It's a little bit more liquid. But again, it depends on your personal situation and what risk tolerances you have and what you're most comfortable with. All right, we're at level 6 now. So advanced safety net. So we're going to go back to that safety net of those basic needs. Just double or triple that safety net. So if you started with a 1-month emergency fund, bump that up to a 3-month emergency fund or a 6-month. If you're married, your spouse doesn't work, and you got multiple kids, maybe you need a 12-month. Maybe you have a lot of debts or some variable expenses. It depends on your personal situation, but this would be the time to expand that safety net of emergency funds. And also start looking at where you're actually holding those safety net funds. Because if you're just holding it in a regular savings account, you're losing money because of inflation. So you want to look at high yield savings accounts. There's hundreds, if not thousands of them out there. So what I did personally a few years ago was just Google best high yield savings account. It'll give you a list of banks and interest accounts. And then you choose if you want to go with a certain bank or if you want to go with the highest interest account or interest rate. It's entirely up to you. But that interest rate will be many, many times higher than a savings account. So you always want to look to see how much interest you're getting back because of compound interest. So every month when they give you you get that interest payment, and then the next month you get a little bit more, the next month you get a little bit more, and as you're adding into that account, it's going to exponentially grow. Compound interest, we always want compound interest. High yield savings account is very liquid, so if something comes up and you need to dip into those emergency funds, it'll be very easy to get those funds within a day or two. All right, next on the order of operations, we're at the level 7 now, so that's going to be future expenses. So once you have your safety net built up to a few months, maybe 6 months, you can start putting money away to save for known expenses. So that could be saving for a house down payment, a marriage, you want a big wedding, or you're on a honeymoon, that dream honeymoon, or if you're PCSing overseas, or maybe you're PCSing back to the States and you're going to need to buy a couple cars and get a new house, furniture. This is the time to start setting aside money for those future expenses that you know are coming. Level 8, low interest debt. All right, we're back to debts. So if you still have any debts left over, you didn't pay them all off, this is where you start looking at your low interest debt. Usually it's going to be about 6% or below. Again, it depends on what debt you have. Maybe everything you have is 6% or below and you've already paid it off in a previous step. Again, it's up to you and your situation, but now once you have all those high interest debt paid off, you're putting money away for retirement, you have that safety net, you're putting money to the side for that honeymoon, start paying off that low interest debt. And again, you can refer back to the snowball or avalanche method, and whichever one works for you, that's what you should go for. All right, the very top of the pyramid, we have level 9. That's going to be situational dependent. Of course, there is no one size fits all order of operations when it comes to finances. Everybody's going to be different. Everybody's going to have a different risk tolerance and want to, acquire or maintain wealth. So it depends on where you are. Resources that I suggest, just Google something, look on YouTube, or go to the library and check out a book. One of the YouTube channels that I really like is The Money Guy. I know Dave Ramsey is pretty popular. If you want a basic level foundation of finances, he's really good for that. Don't limit yourself to one strategy or one source of education. Have a beginner's mindset. Keep looking out there. Look on Reddit, all the message boards. Bigger Pockets has some great resources. But again, it depends on your situation and what you want to do. But there are almost unlimited amount of ways that you can, put money to the side for your wealth and your future. All right. So that was a quick overview of the military financial order of operations. It's not that much different than, anyone else, someone who's not in the military, but we just have the luxury of having relative job security, and a lot of our basic allowances pays for some of those basic needs that we need to be putting money to the side for. So a quick overview of the financial order of operations is basic needs, safety net, retirement, high interest debt. Then you're going to max out retirement accounts, expand that safety net, start saving for future expenses, get rid of that low interest debt, and then it's all going to be situational dependent based on your risk tolerance and your goals. Appreciate you all taking the time to listen to this episode. I hope it was helpful and beneficial. I hope you learned something, or you can share this with someone and hopefully it'll be beneficial to them. Just remember that it's super important to take a systematic approach to finance. Don't just go throwing money into random accounts thinking you're going to get there. It might work out for you, but if you have a systematic approach, you will be able to know where you are, know where you're going, and get there quicker. Thank you for tuning in to the Matt Crawford podcast. Remember, the knowledge gained here is just the beginning of your journey towards financial freedom. If you have questions or want to share your insights, please reach out to us. Until next time, stay focused, stay informed, and take action.